ইউনিটের আজকের এই প্রোগ্রামের আলোচক এবং যিনি টেকনিক্যাল সাপোর্ট দিচ্ছেন এবং যারা অংশগ্রহণ করছেন তাদেরকে আমি বাংলাদেশ গণতান্ত্রিক আইনজীবী সমিতি কেন্দ্র নির্বাহী পরিষদের পক্ষ থেকে শুভেচ্ছা এবং অভিনন্দন জানাচ্ছি। এই মহা দুর্যোগকালীন অবস্থায় যে আপনারা যে এই প্রোগ্রাম নিয়েছেন, এটা আমি মনে করি এটা খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ এবং এটা প্রশংসনীয়, এবং ভবিষ্যতে এটা আপনারা অব্যাহত রাখবেন। যে আজকে আমরা বাংলাদেশ এবং ভারতের আমাদের বিচার ব্যবস্থা মোটামুটি খুব বেশি পার্থক্য নেই, কারণ আমরা একই ব্রিটিশ কলোনিয়াল লেগেসি থেকে আমরা হলো যে এটা অনুসরণ করছি, যে আমরা আমাদের সেই কমন ল সিস্টেম, এখানকার ক্রিমিনাল জাস্টিস সিস্টেম যেটা মোটামুটি একই ধরনের। তবে আমাদের যেটা আমরা এখনো বাংলাদেশে ওই 1898 সালের সিআরপিসি, যেটা আমরা অনেক অ্যামেন্ডমেন্ট করে আপনাদের কাছাকাছি এসেছি, যেটা আমরা 1973 সনে এটা নতুন করে একটা সিআরপিসি এটা আপনাদের পার্লামেন্টে পাস হয় এখানে। তারপর আমি দেখেছি এর মধ্যে অনেকগুলো 73-এর পরও প্রায় 15-16টা অ্যামেন্ডমেন্ট হয়েছে। এর ভিতর ইম্পর্টেন্ট কয়েকটা অ্যামেন্ডমেন্ট হয়েছে এখানে, সেগুলোর সঙ্গে আমাদের হলো বেশ কিছু সিমিলারিটিজ আছে, আবার কিছু কিছু ডিসিমিলারিটিজ আছে। এগুলো আমরা ভবিষ্যতে সুযোগ পেলে আমরা আলাপ করব। আজকে যিনি আলোচক সুব্রত চ্যাটার্জি আমাদের খুবই পরিচিত, এবং আমাদের বাংলাদেশের প্রতিবেশী বলতে গেলে যে আমাদের সীমান্তবর্তী জেলা, যেটা একসময় আমার জেলা হলো, এখনো জেলা বগুড়া জেলা, তার সঙ্গে ওই পশ্চিম দিনাজপুর খুব সংলগ্ন। আর ওনাকে তো আমি বহুদিন থেকে চিনি, উনি একজন খুব ভালো সেশন লয়ার, এবং আমারও পেশাগত জীবনের আমি প্রথম 8 বছর কন্টিনিউয়াসলি আমি 82 থেকে 90 পর্যন্ত আমি দুটো সাইডে, যে সেশন কোর্ট এবং মুন্সিপ কোর্ট থেকে শুরু করে সাবজাজ কোর্ট, এই কোর্টগুলোর প্র্যাকটিস করার সুযোগ হয়েছে আমার। তারপর 85 থেকে সাইমালটেনিয়াসলি হাইকোর্ট ডিভিশন এবং সেশন কোর্টগুলো এবং সাবঅর্ডিনেট সিভিল কোর্টগুলোতে আমি অ্যাটেন্ড করেছি, এবং 95 পর্যন্ত এটা আমি অব্যাহত রেখেছি। তারপর আমি সুপ্রিম কোর্ট এনরোল হওয়ার পর থেকে এটা হলো নিচের কোর্টে যাওয়ার আমার প্রচন্ড ইচ্ছা আছে, কারণ আমার সেই অভিজ্ঞতাগুলো এটা এখনো আমার মেমোরিতে রিফ্রেশ আছে এখানে। যে আমার যখন প্রফেশনাল মাত্র লেন্থ অফ প্র্যাকটিস 10 মাস, তখন আমি ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্টলি একটা স্টিপ একটা মার্ডার কেসে ট্রায়াল করেছিলাম। সেগুলো আমার এখনো স্মৃতিতে অম্লান আছে এখানে। এটা আমাদের শুভদর্শা, উনি একজন ভালো সেশন লয়ার, সিজন সেশন লয়ার। উনি আজকে যেটা আমাদের ক্রিমিনাল প্রসিডিং কিভাবে এটা হাউ টু পুট ক্রিমিনাল প্রসিডিং ইন মোশন, এই ব্যাপারে উনি আলোচনা করবেন এখানে। আমি বিশেষ আলোচনা করব না এখানে, যেটা আমাদের ল স্টুডেন্ট বা ইয়াং লয়ার্স আপনারা জানেন, যেখানে যে আমাদের ক্রিমিনাল যে ফৌজদারি বিচার ব্যবস্থা, যে আমাদের প্যানাল কোড আছে 1860 সনের 68 সনের যে প্যানাল কোডে, সেখানে বিচার অপরাধের অনেক বর্ণনা করা আছে, কিন্তু অপরাধগুলো কিভাবে বিচার হবে, এগুলো হলো যে প্রসিডিউরাল ল, যেটা এটা সাবস্টিটিভ ল, সেটা আমাদের সিআরপিসি এবং এভিডেন্স অ্যাক্ট, এগুলো হলো মিলে আমাদের হলো যে এই তিনটাই হলো যে মেজর আমাদের ক্রিমিনাল অ্যাক্টস, এটার মাধ্যমে আমাদের ফৌজদারি বিচার কার্য আমরা হলো পরিচালনা করি। আপনাদের দেশেও একই রকম অবস্থা। আজকে যে আলোচনা এটা সুবোধর দাস উনি শুরু করবেন, আমি মনোযোগ দিয়ে শুনবো। এটা আমার সেই পুরনো সেশন ট্রায়ালের দিনগুলো, এটা হলো যে তখন আমি ফিরে যাবো এখানে। তারপর আমাদের হাইকোর্ট সুপ্রিম কোর্টও এটা নিয়ে প্রতিনিয়ত, যে আমি ধরেন আমার সৌভাগ্য যেটা, আমি সিভিল ক্রিমিনাল তো অরিজিনাল ব্রাঞ্চ ছিল আমার লোয়ার কোর্টে, তারপরে এখানে কনস্টিটিউশনাল কোর্টে যেটা রিট, এবং আমি কমিউনিস্ট পার্টির রাজনীতির সঙ্গে যুক্ত থাকার ফলে লেবার কোর্টে আমার যেতে হয়েছে, ভূমিহীন কৃষকদের জন্য রেভিনিউ কোর্টে যেতে হয়েছে। কাজে আমি হলো যেটা যে কোনো বিষয়ে আমার ওইভাবে পারদর্শিতা নাই, কিন্তু সব বিষয়েই আমার হলো প্র্যাকটিসের আমার অভিজ্ঞতা প্র্যাকটিস করতে হয়েছে। আজকে পরিশেষ জানাচ্ছি, ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you all. Thank you, Badi Sahib. Your presence bring great inspiration to us.
Welcome.
Actually, we are now spending our days in a lockdown. In this period, if we start our vehicle or car, then we have to check some tools, machinery, engines, etc. So before entering the caption subject, setting the criminal law in motion, I would like to check some legal knowledge regarding some concept of legal itself. My first question, what is law? Actually, we all know law itself not the legal concept. There are so many schools try their level best to define law. If we think we as being the human beings, we may define a man as a rational animal, locating him within the animal kingdom, but differentiating him by his rationality from the other members of that kingdom. So far, concept of the natural law theories. In reality, law is the decade of reasons. That is, law consists of rules in accordance with reason, and nature has formulated the basis of the veracity of natural law theories. On the other hand, opposed to this theory, that is natural law, according to concept of the imperative theory, law is nothing but a command of sovereign putting behind sanction. As the student of law, we all knows the version of the Austin. Another view, law is the practice of the court. Another view, if we taking into consideration, that is law as a system of rules. In other words, law is the expression of the will of the state. But see, this as made through the medium of the courts. This is very important. Law is a rule of action to which men are obliged to make their conduct conformable, a command enforced by some sanction to act and forbearance of a class. A principle of conduct observed habitually by an individual or a class. If we see in widest sense, law is an aggregate of rules enforceable by judicial means in a given country. Today's, in a political organized society, will of the state, will and command of the state or the sovereign authority executed through the court, putting behind sanction. I would like to, the word sanction, it is very important in criminal law. Sometimes it is also been law is the state practice is part by human experience, whereby the individual may realize the most complete. Am I clear? This is the general conception of law. Next, my question is that what is wrong? If we consider the word wrong, ordinarily means a deprivation of right. An act is wrongful if it is infringes the legal right of another. There are two types of wrong. One is civil wrong and another is criminal wrong. The distinction between crime and civil wrong is roughly that crime are public. On the other hand, civil wrong are private in nature. Clearly, crime affects the society. Ordinarily, a crime is a wrong which affects the society or well-being of the public in general, so that public has an interest in its suppression. Then come to the point of offense. Any act or omission made punishable by any law for the time being in force. This is old concept and still running. General Clauses Act 1897, Section 3, and same definition enacted in our CRPC also. Please see the Section 29 of the CRPC in 1973. Let us come to the constitutional aspect regarding offense and crime. So far, Article 20 is concerned. In our Constitution, in Article 20, specifically mentioned, no person shall be convicted in any offense except for violation of law in force at the time of the commission of the offense. Nextly, subclause 2 of the Article 20, no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once. I think it is not irrelevant. That great theme of the Amitabh Bachchan, Andha Kanun, you all know that no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once. Nextly, no person accused of any offense shall be compelled to be witnesses against himself. When we discuss about the Evidence Act, specifically Section 25, 26, confession before police not admissible in evidence, or no person that is accused bound to or compelled to make statement against him, this is barred by Constitution. Article 21, this is very vital. No person shall be deprived of his life and personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. In this aspect, the word procedure, I would like to emphasize the word procedure. So, what is procedure? Actually, the procedure includes so many things. Firstly, the manner for collection of evidence. In other words, investigation, examination of the evidence, witnesses, introduction of accused, arrest and its safeguards, procedure to be adopted by the police and the court, bail, procedure of bail, the process of criminal trial, method of conviction, right of an accused of a fair trial by principle of natural justice. All those included in the procedure. May I repeat? The manner for collection of evidence, first thing. Second thing, examination of the witnesses, interrogation of the witnesses and the accused, arrest and safeguard thereof, and procedure to be adopted by the police and court. Procedure of bail, the process of criminal trial, method of conviction, the theory of punishment also, right of accused of a fair trial by principle of natural justice. If we consider whole criminal law is divided in two aspects. One is substantive law and another is procedural law. So far India is concerned, the IPC, Indian Penal Code 1860 is the main substantive law. On the other hand, CRPC 1973 and the Evidence Act 1972 are the procedural law. Those are the, as Mr. Badi already mentioned, those are the major law, major criminal law in our country. Not only our country, but all British colonial countries. colonial countries. Those are three main acts, though there are some other special act also. IPC is the primary penal law in India. Evidence Act is the comprehensive theory of the law of evidence which can be used in trial, that is for production of evidence, admissibility of the evidence, relevancy of the evidence, trustworthy of the evidence, and appreciation of the evidence. This is the main aspect of the Evidence Act. On the other hand, CRPC, today's subject, Criminal Procedure Code, it guided the procedure of criminal trial. Next, my point is stage of criminal trial. I think Shomojit already asked me to explain the stages of criminal trial in India. Mainly, it divided in three stages. Firstly, pre-trial stages. Pre-trial stages include from inception, that is from starting from FIR or complaint, and investigation, inquiry, bail, and others, safeguards, up to stage of the framing of charge, that is pre-trial stage, and actually trial begin with the charge. Next stage is the trial stage. After conclusion of the trial, after pronouncement of the judgment, being agreed by the judgment or decision, either side, anyone, either from the side of the defective complaint, side of the state, or side of the accused, may prefer appeal before appellate court. This is the post-trial stage. Before entering the stages of the criminal trial, we have to know some terminology to be used in criminal law. Firstly, from the point of view of cognizance, taken up cognizance, offense divided into two categories. According to 2E of the CRPC, is an offense in which police can arrest without a warrant. More specifically, I would like to mention, on the basis of the primary complaint itself, initially being satisfied, police can take primary cognizance, and on that basis, police start investigation also, and even also, police can arrest a person suspected on reason to believe, on credible information, without the leave of the court or on the strength of the warrant. This type of the offense is the cognizable offense. On the other hand, non-cognizable offense, according to section 2I CRPC, non-cognizable offense is an offense when police has no authority to arrest without having warrant from the court. From the point of view of the cognizance, offense divided into two categories, that is cognizable offense and non-cognizable offense. Next question, from the point of view of the bail or non-bailable, whether bailable or non-bailable. In our CRPC, if we see the first table of the schedule 1, then it is clearly mentioned the offense whether bailable or non-bailable. What is bailable offense? Bailable offense is such type of offense when bail is the matter of right, and it is the right of the accused to get bail. On the other hand, it is the duty of the police or the magistrate to offer the bail under section 436 CRPC. This is bailable offense. Another type of offense, that is non-bailable offense. In such type of offense, non-bailable offense, in which bail is not the matter of right, I think. but the right to prefer an application for bail, it is also not barred, and it is the discretion of the court to determine regarding the bail under section 437. Before the magistrate, we may pay for bail, and if bail is granted, then okay, but if not granted, then another right is to prefer an appeal being agreed with that decision of the magistrate. 439 CRPC before Sessions Court, or 439 CRPC before High Court also. And step by step, if it is not granted by the High Court also, we may prefer special petition to the Supreme Court also. What is the theory of the bail? So far criminal jurisprudence is concerned, the valuable right of the individual, valuable right of liberty of the individual, and impact of the society of the offense as a whole, by balancing both, court have to consider. Next question, anticipatory bail. Under section 438 CRPC, any person who apprehends, arrest with a wrong accusation of committing of a non-bailable, cognizable offense, he may pay before High Court as well as Sessions Court also under section 438 CRPC for anticipatory bail. This is in advance, that is in anticipation. In case of arrest, if anticipatory bail is allowed, then bail and the duty of the police. We have discussed about the procedure of anticipatory bail, and we can repeat the 436 bailable offense, in which bail is the matter of right, and 437 in case of non-bailable offense. In those cases, bail is not the matter of right, but a right to prefer bail petition not barred, and some formula is there to, on the point of view of the granting bail. This is I would like to mention, by balancing the valuable right of the liberty of the individual and the impact of the society as a whole. Criminal jurisprudence, there is no straight jacket formula regarding bail. This is completely discretionary power to the court, but general guideline, by balancing the valuable right of the liberty of an individual and impact of the society as a whole. Next, regarding anticipatory bail under section 438 CRPC, any person who apprehend, arrest for accusation of committing non-bailable offense may apply before learned session judge or High Court, either before learned session judge or High Court, or step by step, firstly before session judge, and after rejection then High Court. And another option is there, after High Court, special leave petition before Supreme Court. As the case may be, the order of the anticipatory bail with some conditions, accused may find bail, and it is the duty of the police officer as well as the magistrate to offer the bail. So from the point of view of the bail, offense divided in two categories, bailable and non-bailable. Shomojit request me regarding the procedure of cancellation of bail. 439 sub clause 2 is there. and in case 437 and 439. In case of 439 subclause 2, cancellation or modification of the order of the bail, you may also prefer application before the granting court. Next, in CRPC, you see the schedule, table 1 of the schedule 1, clearly offense bailable or non-bailable, offense cognizable or non-cognizable, all are mentioned there. In respect of the offense covering in IPC, but other offenses not covered by IPC but covered by any other special law is mentioned in table 2, general guideline, that is bailable or non-bailable, cognizable or non-cognizable, offense less than 3 years or with fine. This is non-cognizable but bailable. An offense punishable with 3 years or more than 3 years or more, offense is cognizable but non-bailable. From the point of view, that is from the starting point, from inception, criminal case divided from another angle, that is criminal case divided into 2 categories. On the view of the starting point, that is police case, number 1 police case, secondly complaint case or petition case. When aggrieved party or any government officials directly approach before the court by filing a complaint or petition for any type of offense with a prayer to redress and with a prayer to take cognizance, that is complaint case, complaint may file as per provision of section 200 CRPC read with section 190 of CRPC, and on the strength of the section 190 magistrate can take cognizance. This is complaint case, petition case. On the other hand, another case we started on the basis of the FIR, that is first information report. Any person, not necessarily being aggrieved, not necessarily being affected or victimized, any person may draw attention to the officer in charge of the police station, either written or orally or verbally, regarding any cognizable offense. This is the first information under section 154 of CRPC. 154 CRPC, in 154 CRPC, it is the right of the individual or citizen to inform cognizable offense, and vice versa, it is the duty of the police to record or diarize the information and start investigation on the basis of the state complaint. And under section 154 subclause 2, it is the duty of the police officer to hand over the free of cost copy of the complaint, receipt copy of the complaint, and formal part of the FIR, who is filled by the police. Second stage, if police not agree to accept the complaint, you have another right under section 154 subclause 3. You may approach to the head of the district of the police, that is superintendent of police, by post, registry with AD, under section 154(3), and if it is accepted, SP also direct investigation and treating this as a fair. Another method, if OC of the police station, officer in charge of the police station, or SP not take any action or refuse to accept the complaint or start case, then you have another right to approach before the court under section 156 clause 3 of CRPC before the magistrate for starting a case and direct the concerned police station to start investigation. So, three mode of FIR of cognizable offence, that is 154 subclause 1, 154 subclause 3 and 156 subclause 3. 154 subclause 1 before OC, 154 subclause 3 before SP, 156 subclause 3 before magistrate. In case of non-cognizable offence, you may approach before police also. You may approach before court or you may approach before police also. And under section 155 CRPC, police diarise your complaint and send it to the court. But police has no authority to start case or investigation or arrest anybody in respect of non-cognizable offence. 155 3 CRPC deal with the permission of the court. 155 4 CRPC it deal with the both non-cognizable and cognizable offence. If both offences they are cognizable and non-cognizable, it also it is treated as the cognizable offence. And 156 CRPC power of the investigation also 156 1 2 it is the power of the police officer or the station head of the police station to start investigation. Next, regarding arrest, police may arrest without warrant or with warrant, both. Under section 41 CRPC, on personal observation, that is occurrence took place committed in presence of the police can arrest. On credible and reasonable or probable cause of belief, reason to believe, police may arrest. To prevent for committing any offence, to prevent for causing disappear or tampering the evidence, police may arrest. There are so many provisions enacted in 41 CRPC to prevent inducement or threat to any person who acquainted with the facts and circumstances of the case of the offence, to ensure the presence before the court on the basis of the credible information whether offence committed in India or even outside the India, for proclaim offender, for possession of the stolen property, for causing obstruction to the police to do the needful or to do the legal duty, deserter from any armed force, on other requisition from any other police stations or outside the country also, and for violation of the condition of probation, police may arrest under section 41. So for safeguard during arrest, we all know the landmark judgment, that is D.K. Bose versus State of West Bengal, 1997, reported in SCC, page 1416. It is the duty of the police to produce any arrest persons within 24 hours from the time of arrest before nearest magistrate. It is mentioned so far section 56 and 57 is concerned CRPC. And before arrest, police may take alternative measure, that is under section 41 capital A. Police may issue notice to appear before police. In 41B clearly mention procedure of arrest, and that is memo of preparation of memo of arrest, inform nearest relative, obtain signature, reason for arrest, etc. One control room at district court and at district headquarters of the police showing details regarding the arrested persons mentioned in 41C, and 41D is concerned capital D. 41 capital D is concerned right of arrested person to meet and with an advocate of his choice during interrogation, but not throughout the interrogation. Article constitutional aspect is there. Article 22. So many safeguards is there, and this is our fundamental right also regarding arrest. Preventive detention and arrest under section 151 subclause 1 and 2. Police may also arrest in anticipation for preventive detention under section 151. Next, when investigation cannot be completed within 24 hours, under section 167 is concerned. 167 subclause 1 regarding the compliance of the section 57, already we have mentioned regarding the production of the arrested accused person within 24 hours. 167 subclause 2 mentioned regarding the judicial custody and police custody. If one person arrested, police forwarded him before magistrate with a prayer for JC or PC. What is JC? JC is judicial custody and PC is the police custody. But either in case of JC or PC, whatever may be, highest period is the 14 days, not more than 14 days. 167(2)(a). This is the statutory limitation, very vital. This is the statutory limitation for filing charge sheet, for completion of the investigation or final report, as the case may be. When offense punishable with death or imprisonment for life or not less than 10 years, then statutory limitation period for filing charge sheet is 90 days. And after expiry of 90 days, this is the matter of the right of the accused, if charge sheet or final report not submitted within that prescribed period, to avail the bail. It is the matter of right, just like 436. Next, 60 days for other offences, 90 days only for the death, only for that offence, punishable with death, punishable with imprisonment for life, not less than 10 years, and for other cases 60 days. Another aspect is there. There is upper limit and lower limit, conception of upper limit and lower limit. Less than 10 years, that is means upper limit 10 years. Less than 10 years means upper limit, punishment up to 10 years. Up to 10 years, that is more than 10 years and less than 10 years. More than 10 years, that is lower limit, and punishable with death, life, or more than 10 years, 90 days, that is lower limit 10 years, and 60 days for other offences. If offence punishable may be extended up to 10 years. Then it consider within the period of 60 days, may be extended up to 10 years. That is 60 days, but 10 years and above. When lower limit 10 years, then 90 days. Next, 167 subclause 5, limitation for completion of investigation in general. In case of summon cases, 6 months from the date of arrest. Investigation must be completed within 6 months from the date of arrest in case of summon cases, petty offences. If not possible, it is the duty of the police to prefer application before the court for extension of time. Otherwise, case should be dropped. Order for stopping investigation if extension of petition not filed by the police with some special reason. And 166 subclause 6, revision before sessions court by any aggrieved party. But another provision is there in respect of the West Bengal state. So far, West Bengal state amendment is concerned, 167 subclause 5, West Bengal state amendment. In case of summon cases, investigation must be completed within 6 months. In case of sessions tribunal cases, offense exclusively tribunal by the Court of Sessions, then limitation period is the 3 years, and for other cases, 2 years.